Hello and welcome back, everyone. I'm David Widmar with Agricultural Economic Insights, joining you today to talk about farm land and farm mortgages. And this is the third article that we've written over the last several weeks using the acres.com data. And the idea here is we want to have a better understanding of farmland activity, farmland sales activity. So we looked at sales over time. We looked at sales at a county level and looked at the differences that we see unfold on a geographic basis. And now we're looking at farmland transactions and farms purchases that also record a lien at the time of purchases. So there's a statistic out there that you've probably heard. It's that 85% of Iowa farmland is debt free. That's oftentimes used to support a claim that the farm economy is in good shape. But we want to see how that reflected in other geographies, but also how that might look in other ways. So it's always important to triangulate a little bit around any particular data point to get some depth and context around it. So using the acres.com data and summarizing sales activity between 2021 through 2024, we took a look at the question of how many farmland purchases also recorded a mortgage at the time of purchase. So to be clear, there are other times that you could add a mortgage to the farmland. So this is only capturing at purchase. So there's a scenario here where a farm, made the purchase, maybe paid cash, but are going to turn around and get favorable financing terms to make sure they still have a strong working capital position. But so this doesn't capture the whole universe, but it's a really good, important proxy measure. So across the region being Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, Ohio, about 27% of farmland that was purchased between 2021 and 2024 also reported a lien at the time of purchase. Keep in mind that this data categorizes, and we've noted it in the article, was limited to acreages of more than 10. So farmland acreage also more than 10 acres in size. So take a look at the variation, though, as we see this unfold across the um, the region. So Iowa is close to the lowest here at about 20%. We also see Minnesota is around 19%. So the first takeaway here is to keep in mind that maybe we should keep that Iowa statistic in hand, as maybe Iowa is uh, that lines up. It's in the same ballpark, but maybe we should keep in mind that Iowa's probably a best case scenario here, because we see in Illinois about a third or 30% of farmland purchases recorded a mortgage at the time of purchase, and in Ohio it's at 28%, and then in Indiana we saw this tick higher all the way up to 49% over that period. Again, there's a lot of things that could be in play here that could be going on here, but the idea that we want to mention is that just as farmland sales, the activity varies across states and even within states and neighboring counties. We also see a lot of variation in the utilization of debt. The graph here that we show is an index, and the idea here is, are we using more debt or less debt than what we would anticipate given the amount of farmland activity that's been going on? So the darker the shade, the higher the index. And so you see a lot of dark shading going on in Indiana. You see, even within a state like Ohio, you see, these belts of areas, such as in the northwest, the west central, and then kind of that north central region. You see more debt being used than what would otherwise be anticipated. When you move into Iowa, again, you see just a lot less debt being utilized on a given transaction. So that's all we have for this week. Be sure to check out the other articles in this series. I've linked to this article and the previous two in the summaries below, so be sure to check that out. And until next time, stay curious.